Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome. And welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, I will be reviewing AEW Dynamite for November 11th, 2020 on the Veterans Day edition. So Wednesday was Veterans Day, so this is a Veterans Day edition for AEW Dynamite. Oh yeah, thank you for the applause, by the way. Thank you for the applause. I appreciate it. So yeah, overall, this is a great show. A great show. We didn't have that many matches. You know, everybody that competed on Full Gear, they were not on the show. They were doing video vignettes. So they had to take a break. And rightfully so. Everybody that competed at Full Gear, they done a great job. Even though I didn't like the women's match, the AEW women's match, they still did a great job on delivering a match. So everybody that competed on Full Gear, they had to take a break. And this show was basically for those that didn't compete on Full Gear. So on this show, we had Matt Seidel versus Brian Cage. We had the Bunkhouse match with the Butcher, the Blade versus the Natural Nightmares. And we had Shawn Spears versus Scorpio Sky. We had Tay Conti versus Red Velvet. And we had Rey Fenix versus Pentagon in the main event. So yeah, that was good too. But anyway, we start off the show with Team Tazz. They came out to the ring, and Tazz grabs the microphone, and he talks about Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. First he turns his attention to not Cody Rhodes. He turns his attention to Darby Allin, and so he tells Darby Allin to basically stay out of their way. He says, "Keep your narrow ass in that chair. Don't get nowhere near this ring, and if you do, you're gonna get your head put out again." And he said, while you're at it, contact your buddy Cody Rhodes and let him know the same thing. So tell him exactly what I'm telling you. And if Cody does it, then he's gonna get taken out too. And so he says, he turns his attention to Brian Cage. He says Brian Cage is about to wrestle a man that is respected in the locker room all over the world. He was talking about Matt Seidel. And he says, he compares Matt Seidel to Darby Allin. He says, Matt Seidel and Darby Allin have a lot in common. They're tenacious, they're fearless, and most importantly, they have victories over megastars. And he says Darby beats Cody Rhodes, and Matt Seidel, he owns a victory over Chris Jericho. And Tazz, he said, that's not a joke. And he says, Matt Seidel is not a joke. And I promise you, Brian Cage is not a joke. And right after that, Tazz, he went to commentary, and we started the match between Matt Seidel and Brian Cage while Tazz was on commentary. So this is a great match. I love this match. This was basically David versus Goliath, but the difference is Goliath won. And first off, we had Matt Seidel giving insecurity to Brian Cage. And he gives Brian Cage a sliding drop kick. And Brian Cage, his strength is just too much for Matt Seidel. So he just gives him corner clotheslines. And then he throws Matt Seidel into the turnbuckle. Really hard. And he gives Matt Seidel an overhead suplex. And then he gives Matt Seidel a hip toss, turned into a backbreaker. And Matt Seidel, he fights back. He tries to, chop him down, fighting back, gives him a drop kick. And yeah, he gives Cage a drop kick, and Cage, he turns it into a clothesline. And then at one point in this match, we had Brian Cage, since he's so strong, he lifted up Matt Seidel. He just started like curling him, like if it was weights. And so he curls him, and he just throws him over himself. And so basically it was a fallaway slam. And, Seidel continues to fight back with kicks and chops. And then we had a pop-up powerbomb. Yes, we had a pop-up powerbomb to Brian Cage from Matt Seidel. Yes, I'm not joking. He gave Brian Cage a pop-up powerbomb. So that was really cool. And then at one point they got out of the ring. Brian Cage is out of the ring. And Matt Seidel, he climbed the top rope. And he gave Brian Cage a meteora. A meteora to Brian Cage on the outside of the ring. And Matt Seidel, he actually hurt himself. Because his knees hit the ramp. And then we had a jumping spinning kick to Brian Cage. And we had a drill claw. Brian Cage tried to go for his drill claw finishing move. And Seidel, he turns it into a roll-up. So he counters with a roll-up for a damn near fall. He was this close. He was this close from pinning Brian Cage. Like, he was this close to winning. And Brian Cage, he kicks out the last second. So that was a close one right there. And Tazz, he losing his mind on commentary. He losing his mind. And Seidel, he tries to go for a high-flying move. And he continues to go off on commentary. He's like, Ricky, do something, damn it, do something. And yeah, so Matt Seidel, he tries to go for a blockbuster, right? And Brian Cage, he catches him in midair and he delivers the drill claw for the win. So Brian Cage wins. And after the match, Ricky Starks grabs the microphone and he talks. And he talks about the ranking system and that he's number 5. So yeah, they're finally ranked on the ranking system, and he's ranked number 5. And he basically said he's going after the TNT Championship, and that anybody who steps in Team Tazz's way, they will get taken out. They will be put into the grave, like Ricky Starks said. So yeah, that was it. Ricky Starks going after the TNT Championship, and yeah. So yeah, Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. I would love to see another match between those two. And then right after this, we had Cody Rhodes. He comes out and he talks, delivers his promo. So first off, this was terrible, man. This was terrible. Not Cody Rhodes, but this whole thing was terrible. But the ending wasn't terrible. But I'm gonna get to it in a second. I'm gonna tell you which part was terrible. So yeah, we had Cody Rhodes. He comes out and congratulates Darby Allin, and yeah, he congratulates Darby Allin. He says that Cody Rhodes won't get a rematch. He will not get another rematch for the TNT Championship against Darby Allin. But he does want a rematch with this one person that he lost to, and he's talking about MJF. And remember, MJF, he defeated Cody Rhodes. He beat Cody Rhodes at Full Gear, right? Last year. And if Cody Rhodes would have lost, he would have never challenged for the heavyweight championship ever again. And yeah, so he wants to take that blemish off his record by beating MJF, a guy that took away his opportunity. So yeah, right after he talked about MJF, they had a woman walk behind Cody Rhodes. She was walking to Cody Rhodes while Cody Rhodes was turned around, and she got in the ring. And Cody turns around, and it was a woman. She was dressed. This woman was dressed like she was going to the strip club. She was dressed like a freaking stripper. And so Cody turns around. He sees her, and he says, "Can I help you?" And the lady, she said, "I don't know. Can you?" And this is the part that got terrible. The way that this woman delivered her promo, it was terrible. It was a terrible delivery. It sounded like she was reading off of a paper. She sounded like she was talking like this. She was talking like this. And she was slow talking, not even talking like a human being. But yeah, this is what she said. I'm not gonna imitate her voice though. But she said, "Cody, how dare you sit here and lie to our prestigious AEW audience? To everyone," and she says, "to everyone wondering who I am, my name is Jade Cargill, and I am the total package." And she says, "I've been sitting on the sideline week after week, studying my competition, and you, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the Prince of Pro Wrestling. I think I heard you one week saying that you were the Giant Killer. What do you know? And then she asks Cody, what do you know about giants? And then she looks down. She looks down at Cody like she was looking up and down. And she says, there's nothing giant about you. And she says, I know a giant, a real giant. And slick statements like yours is an echo that is loud enough, to wake him. So the next time you feel you can think out loud, I suggest you keep that shit to yourself. Watch your back, Giant Killer. And she says, I am nothing to be played with. And Cargill, she sarcastically congratulated Cody Rhodes on getting his name back. And then she goes on to say, I guess you didn't have the balls to go by one name. And then she says the giant that she was talking about, no, she said the giant that you were talking about, he's the real star, and his name is Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal Shaq. Yeah, that's Shaq. And so yeah, and Brandi comes out. This is the best part of the segment. Brandi Rhodes coming out. Oh my god, man. So yeah, she comes out, she interrupts, and she said, who the hell told you that it was open night, bitch? She said, your dizzy ass up here looking real confused. You up in my house, smacking your gums at my man, and now you're my problem. And she says, don't you ever talk to him like that again. Don't even look at him. And then she said, here's what you can do. You can take your ratchet, trifling ass off my stage and do not come back unless I send for you. And then she says, do you understand me, heifer? And then she said, good, great, cool. Bitch, get your ass out of here. And then Brandi, Brandi was, oh my god, man, this is the best part. Brandi was the MVP of this segment. I was like, man, where has this Brandi been? So yeah, Brandi, she turns her way, and from behind Cargill, she slaps Brandi on the ass. And Brandi, she's offended by that. And so she turns around, she tried to attack Cargill. And then we had Jerry Lynn, ECW legend, comes out to separate the two. And you had the crowd chanting, Jerry, 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 like if they're on a Jerry Springer show. So yeah, I thought that was funny. And then, Cody, he was still there. He was watching all this stuff going on. And from behind, he got attacked by Brian Cage. And then Ricky Starks, he joined in on the attack. And then Darby was still in the crowd. He was still in the crowd from earlier. And his music plays. And he walks from the crowd into the ring, and to help Cody Rhodes. And he was wearing a thumbtack jacket. And they pointed that out on commentary that he was wearing a thumbtack jacket. And he goes to the ring and he attacks Ricky Starks. He first attacks Ricky Starks, and he delivers the coffin drop to Ricky Starks while he had the jacket on from the middle rope. And then Cody takes out Brian Cage, so they're teaming up together to fight off Team Tazz. And so Cody, he gives Brian Cage an uppercut, and Darby, he takes him out. Darby takes him out with the coffin drop. And after and everything was done. Everything was finished. Team Tazz were about to go away. And then Will Hobbs come out. He comes out at the last minute. While Darby took care of everything, he came out at the last minute. And he comes out with a chair, chasing off Team Tazz. Like, dude, you late to the party. Like, everything is already done. You should have came out earlier. Like, Darby took care of everything. You come out at the last minute. So yeah, I think this right here, I think Will Hobbs, he in cahoots with Team Tazz, and I said this last week or a couple of weeks ago. He should join Team Tazz. So yeah, that was the end of that. And then we had, and the one thing I wanted to point out too, why do Darby Allin, why does his music need to play? Like if you seeing somebody get attacked, why do your music need to play? Like, dude, just run to the ring. Just run to the ring. You're in a crowd. You see all this stuff going on. Why do you need your music to play? Just run to the ring. I don't get it. Like, it looks stupid, man. It looks stupid. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that was the end of it. But yeah, and then we had Alex Marvez. He interviews Jon Moxley and he talks about Kenny Omega. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention too on that AEW Full Gear review, I forgot to mention that Kenny Omega, he came out right after Jon Moxley won his I Quit match, and they were looking at each other. They were face to face, and yeah, that's what happened. I forgot to mention that. And yeah, he interviews Jon Moxley. He talks about Kenny Omega. And Jon Moxley, he says, something occurred to me this weekend at Full Gear when I was enduring more pain than I ever felt in my life. It wasn't that I didn't want to say the words I quit. It was the fact that I couldn't. When I first came here, the responsibility of being the AEW World Champion didn't really interest me. I just wanted to snap limbs, hurt people, knock people out. The thrill of combat, the roar of the crowd. This is the greatest sport in the world. But things change. You grow up in this business. And I realized on Saturday that this championship represents everybody who can't pay their bills right now. Everyone who is disenfranchised right now. And every little kid who gets made fun of being a pro wrestling fan. And then he goes on to say, I can't quit. I won't quit. And I will never quit. No matter what challenge is ahead. And right now, there is a big challenge ahead. One of the greatest pro wrestlers that had ever lived, Kenny Omega. I've danced with Kenny before, and I won. And it was legendary. But beating Kenny Omega once is one thing, but beating Kenny Omega twice, that takes somebody really special. But it turns out I'm really special. I'm the greatest pro wrestler on the planet right now. I create magic in that ring. I create any magic I want. If anybody can beat Kenny Omega twice, it's me. I'm just a man. One day somebody gonna shut my lights off. It might be Kenny. But dude, good luck with that. And that was the end of the promo from Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is always a great promo. Everything comes from the heart. I love his promos. And then they announced it that Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, they'll be fighting for the AEW World Championship on December 2nd. On AEW Dynamite. So yeah, that's the match. And that should be a damn good match. I'm telling you this right now. And then right after this we had the Bunkhouse match. It was the Butcher, the Blade with the Bunny versus the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. And so, oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention on the AEW Full Gear, that the Natural Nightmares, they challenged the Butcher and the Blade to a Bunkhouse match. And I was like, man, what the hell is a Bunkhouse match? And they explained it on commentary. So basically it's anything goes. It's basically a no disqualification match with weapons. That's all it was. And so yeah, they both come out. Oh yeah, there was a lot of blood in this match. So this is a bloody Bunkhouse match. And no pun intended. But yeah, they both come out. The Natural Nightmares come out, and they both go after the Butcher and the Blade. And we had at one point that they were fighting. They were outside of the ring. We had a final reckoning on the Butcher on the steel chair from Dustin Rhodes. So he delivers a final reckoning to the Butcher on a chair, and the chair is bent. And then we had Blade. We had the Blade hit QT Marshall with a guitar over the head. And we had Dustin Rhodes at one point bringing a cowbell, and he uses that cowbell. And then the Butcher, he uses a chair to deliver a crossbody to Dustin Rhodes. So that was crazy. And the Bunny, she got involved too. The Bunny and the Butcher, they handcuffed Dustin Rhodes to the ring ropes. And the Butcher and the Blade, they double team QT Marshall. And yeah, and I think it was during the commercial break too. I mentioned that the Bunny got involved. She stabbed she stabbed QT Marshall with something across the forehead, and I think he was bleeding with something. I don't know if it was scissors. I don't know what it was, but she stabbed him over the head with it. And so not only is QT Marshall bleeding, the Blade was bleeding too. He was bleeding a lot. And so and during the commercial break, Dustin Rhodes he got released from the handcuffs, and they mentioned it on commentary that it was either the Butcher or the Blade. They knocked Dustin Rhodes off the ring apron, and the force of him falling caused the handcuff to break away from his arm. So that's how he got released from the handcuffs, if anyone was wondering. And Dustin, he fights back with a ladder. And then they were fighting. They were going back and forth, dude. Weapons were being involved. They were using kendo sticks and everything. And then it was Dustin Rhodes and the Butcher. They were fighting up the stage. And they were I think the Butcher, he tried to throw Dustin off the stage, and you had QT Marshall come out of nowhere with a fire extinguisher, spraying the Butcher, so he blinds the Butcher with the fire extinguisher. And then we had Dustin Rhodes delivering a bulldog through the plywood off of the stage to the Butcher. And we had the Butcher and Dustin Rhodes, they are out. And we had QT Marshall and the Blade, they're left in the ring. And they're going back and forth. And QT, he uses a trash can lid to hit the Blade with it. And then QT Marshall, he climbs a tall ladder. This ladder that was brought in the match earlier. He climbs this tall ladder and delivers an elbow drop. A diving elbow drop. The Blade kicks out at 2. I thought that was it right there. And so Dustin and the Butcher, they recover from this. They recover from the Bulldog stuff. The Bulldog stunt off of the stage. So they come back and they start fighting. And then we had a full death. The Butcher and the Blade finishing move, tag team finishing move to Dustin Rhodes on 2 chairs. And QT, he breaks up the pin. That was a close one too. If QT wasn't there, that would have been the end of that match right there. And then we had a low blow. We had a low blow to QT Marshall from the Blade. And Allie at one point, she was on the stage. Not on the stage. She was on the ring apron. And she tried to get involved again. And the Blade, he almost hits Allie, the Bunny, with the chair. And so he catches himself. And, QT Marshall, he attacks the Blade with the chair. And he bumps into Allie, the Bunny. And the Bunny goes falling through a table. So she goes through a table. And the Blade is distracted by this. And QT Marshall, he delivers the diamond cutter to the Blade. And he wins. The Natural Nightmares wins. At first, I thought they were going to go with the Butcher and the Blade to win. Because they've been built up as part of the family, of Eddie Kingston's family. So I thought they were going to win. But we had the Natural Nightmares win. And then right after this, so this is a great match too. A bloody match. Everybody killed it too. So it was really good. I loved it. And then you had the Inner Circle. I love this part. Anything involving the Inner Circle, I always love it, man. So we had the Inner Circle induction ceremony to induct MJF and Wardlow into the Inner Circle. And to induct MJF and Wardlow, it was Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho comes out to the ring, and he introduced the rest of the Inner Circle. So he came out alone first, and he comes out and he introduced the rest of the Inner Circle. So we had Santana, Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Sammy wasn't there. Sammy Guevara wasn't there, and so they were looking around. It was like, "Where's Sammy? Where's Sammy? He's supposed to be here." And he was like, I called him. I called him right after he got out of the hospital, and he knows that we're here, and and so Jericho, he turns his attention to MJF. He was like, "We're gonna worry about Sammy later, but what we're all worrying about, what we're gonna focus on right now, is about the two men who are going to make the Inner Circle more dominant than we ever were. And Jericho, he introduces Wardlow and MJF to the ring, the newest members of the Inner Circle. They both come out. MJF is crying. Like, he's crying. Tears of joy. And MJF says that it took a long and hard road to get here. He said it took a long and hard road to get here. And he was crying. He said, real men cry. And he says, I've been in this industry for 5 long years. And then right after he said that, Tony Schiavone on commentary, oh my God, he said, oh, shut up. He tells MJF to shut up. And then MJF, he goes on to say, and when I first started in this business, my father gave me a small loan of $1 million. A small loan? Yeah, he says a small loan of $1 million and brought me out in the world cold and alone, but I made it work. And Tony Schiavone again on commentary said he should have left him there. Oh my God. So yeah, he says he should have left him there. And MJF, he says, there's a lot of pressure being a ratings ruler at 24 years old. And he says pressure that you 9-to-5ers could never handle. I'm glad I had that pressure because it created me into the diamond that you see today. Then he takes out a poetry letter that he wrote. And MJF, he was basically reading Drake's song, All of Me. I have a feeling that my proud and powerful, he says, before he read the thing, he says, I have a feeling that my proud and powerful homies are going to dig it. And so, yeah, the letter said, I'm not going to read the letter entirely, but I'm going to read parts of it. He says, I got everything. I cannot complain. I don't even know how much I really made. I forgot. It's a lot. Never mind what I got. Boy, don't watch. And so Ortiz, he calls him out on it. Ortiz, he was like, Drake, really? Is Drake really? And he tells Jericho, man, Chris, you gotta see through this guy. You gotta see through this charade. And MJF, he says, what, man? I wrote that. And Ortiz, he goes on to say, MJF, he doesn't belong in the Inner Circle. He shouldn't be here right now. He don't belong here. And Jericho, he cuts Ortiz off. He says, hold on. If you have a problem, and I know you, he says, if you have a problem, I know you and Sammy don't want him in the Inner Circle, but if you have an issue, it's all on me. I made the challenge. and the stipulation. And MJF, he beat me. He beat me to join the Inner Circle. And I've been doing this for 30 years. And I know this business better than anything. And with MJF's mind and Wardlow's muscle, the Inner Circle will be stronger than the walls of Jericho. He tells Ortiz this is the new team and you will make it work. And MJF said, I don't even know who Drake is. And yeah, right after he said that, he throws Chris Jericho a surprise birthday party because the other day was his birthday. The other day was Chris Jericho's birthday. And so you have balloons and confetti falling out from the sky. And they were singing happy birthday to Chris Jericho. And then Jericho said, and then not Jericho. It was the birthday party was for Jericho. But MJF, he says next week, MJF says we're going to Vegas and it's all on me. And so yeah, the Inner Circle is going to Vegas next week. They're going to Vegas and it's all on MJF. Alright, so everything is fine right now, man, but when things start going downhill, man, the Inner Circle is done. But yeah, it's going to start off good right now. But I can't wait for next week. So yeah, they basically promoting it next week. So yeah, that was the end of the segment. I love the segment. Anything involving MJF and Chris Jericho, I love it. And right after this, we had Alex Marvez interviewing the Young Bucks. And Alex Marvez, he had to watch himself. while interviewing the Young Bucks, because last time he tried to interview the Young Bucks, he got super kicked by the Bucks. So he was watching himself, and he was afraid to interview them. And so Alex Marbez, he asked the Bucks, what's next? Right after you beat FTR for the titles, what's next? And Nick, he says, this is the biggest accomplishment of our entire career. And it's hard to see what's next. But I think the world wants to see a rematch at one point. And then Matt says, before we get to the rematch, Young Bucks and Tag Team Championships, they go perfectly together. Am I right, Alex? He asks Matt Jackson, he asks Alex Marbez, am I right, Alex? And then they both, Matt and Nick, they apologized for super kicking Alex Marbez, and he accepted the apology. And so yeah, Matt, he says, now that we're on top of the mountain, people want to know what's next. We're looking for fresh opponents. Matt brings up an Instagram message that, he talks about an Instagram message that he got a couple of months ago from an independent tag team called the Top Flight. And it took him 30 seconds to see that Top Flight are young, hungry daredevils, real-life brothers like us. The Bucks challenges Top Flight into a tag team match next week. So yeah, that should be good. And then right after this, we had Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard versus Scorpio Sky. So yeah, this is a good match. We start off the match with a collar and elbow, and and they were going back and forth with elbow strikes. We had an elbow strike to Spears. We had a big boot to Spears. We had Spears counters with an overhead suplex to Scorpio Sky. And Spears, he throws Sky into the guardrail over and over and over again. So they're outside of the ring. Spears throws him into the guardrail, back and forth. And then we had a back suplex on a ring apron to Scorpio Sky. And then we had a backbreaker from Shawn Spears. Sky kick out at 2. And Sky fights back. He tries to fight back with chops and elbow strikes. And then we had Scorpio Sky trying to go for a missile drop kick on Shawn Spears, and he missed. And Shawn Spears tried to go for his C4 finishing move, and Sky escapes. And we had Scorpio Sky go for an outside dive into Spears. And we had a super kick. We had a super kick to Sky in midair. So yeah, they had steel steps, right? And yeah, they had steel steps. Shawn Spears had put in the outside of the ring, and Scorpio Sky, he ran up the steps to try to deliver a flying move to Spears. Spears caught him with a super kick in midair. So, and right after that, we had Shawn Spears deliver a sidewalk slam to Sky on the steel steps. And then we had a TKO attempt from Scorpio Sky, and Spears, he escapes. And then we had Scorpio Sky deliver a deathlock submission move. And during this, we had Tully Blanchard, he slips in a metal strip behind the referee's back, and Spears, he puts the metal strip in his glove, the glove that he always wears to the ring. He puts it in his glove, and he hits Spears with it. I mean, not Spears, he hit Sky with it. He hit Sky with the metal strip to win, and as Shawn Spears wins, he beats Scorpio Sky by cheating. And right after the match, Shawn Spears was smart. He took the metal strip out of his glove and he put it in his trunks. And so right after the match, we had the referee was checking. He was checking the glove. He was checking the glove because the referee, he knows that Shawn Spears used it. And he was checking the glove and it wasn't in there. So what is one place the referee is not going to check? Yeah, the inside of your trunks. So yeah, that was really smart by Shawn Spears by putting it in his trunks. And so yeah, that was the end of the match. We're gonna get a rematch between those two. And we had right after this, we had Dasha Gonzalez. She tries to interview Kenny Omega. She was scheduled to interview Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega didn't show up. And then we had Alex Marbez. He was trying to get a word with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was walking away. He was trying to catch a flight, and he caught up to him in time. And so Alex Marbez, he tries to get a word with Kenny Omega, and then Kenny, he talks about Jon Moxley. He says, Jon, you hold something
that I want. You hold something that I need. Because to hold that championship is the key to taking what you have taken from me. That is the face all over the magazines. That is the number one position, the man that is the most talked about in professional wrestling. That is the position that people expected from me. And him becoming the number one professional wrestler. I've heard whispers and chatter backstage, where's the cleaner? Where's the Kenny Omega from New Japan that gave 5, 6, 7-star matches? I really never left. He responds, I really never left. It's that I'm ready to reassume that role and reassume my responsibility of being the best in the world. When he saw Moxley with the title, Kenny Omega, when he saw Moxley with the title, he had a feeling of nostalgia, deja vu. But when he checked the records, he could not find any record of them having a singles match in a regular ring with regular rules. So they're 0-0. And Omega says he thinks Moxley is ready. And Omega says he's ready. Omega says that he has a flight to catch and told everyone to enjoy Dynamite. So yeah, that was a great point that Kenny Omega brought up. They never had a one-on-one match, a singles match. They had a match, but it was an unsanctioned match. And unsanctioned matches don't even count towards the record. So yeah, Kenny Omega is right. They never had a singles match, a regular singles match. So yeah, that's attention to details right there. That was a great point that Kenny Omega brought up. And we had our next match. We had the women's match, and we had Tay Conti or Conchi with Anna Jay of the Dark Order versus Red Velvet with Brandi Rhodes, who wasn't in the mood tonight. And we had, basically we had this match. Red Velvet gives arm drags to Conchi, and Conti delivers a shoulder tackle to Velvet. And we had a leg lariat to Conti, followed up by a standing moonsault, and Conti kicks out at 2. And then we had a Uranagi to Red Velvet. We had a bulldog to Conti. So Red Velvet is fighting back. She gives a bulldog to Conti. And then we had a double knee to the spine on Conti. We had a stunner. Red Velvet delivers a stunner to Red Velvet delivers a stunner to Conti. And we had a double roundhouse kick. So both, they kicked each other and they knocked each other out. And while Conchi and Red Velvet were knocked out by those roundhouse kicks, we had Anna Jay. She slips in a chair into the ring behind the referee's back. And so Tay Conti, she recovers from the roundhouse kick. And Anna Jay, she tries to get Conchi to use the chair. And Conchi, she refused. She didn't want to use the chair. She didn't want to cheat. So right after this, Red Velvet gave her a roll-up pin. Almost had it right there. She kicks out. And we had a gory special from Tay Conti into a knee strike to win. So Tay Conti win without cheating. And that was the end of the match. And right after this, we had Alex Marbez. He interviews the Inner Circle. So yeah, Alex Marbez is a busy man tonight. He interviews the Inner Circle. And he tries to get a word with the Inner Circle. And, the Inner Circle, they're celebrating the fact that they're going to Vegas next week. And MJF, he calls Alex Marbez Marvez. That was really funny. And, yeah, they're celebrating. You had Sammy Guevara interrupt. And, yeah, Sammy, he comes in, he interrupts, and the rest of the Inner Circle, they're wondering, hey, man, where were you, dude? Where were you? And Sammy says, I was at the beach. He said, I was at the beach. I got MJF some email, and it said to go to the beach. And then he asked the Inner Circle, where were you guys? I was at the beach. Where were you guys? And they said, the Inner Circle said, we were here. We were here on Dynamite. And MJF tells Sammy, I sent you another email. I sent you another email telling you to be here. And then Sammy says, dude, I only got one email. I didn't get 2 emails. I only got one email. And then that one email said, go to the beach. And then MJF, he asked the rest of the Inner Circle, did you guys get the second email? And then Sammy, he gets annoyed. He says, dude, I only got one email. And then Chris Jericho calms him down. Calms Sammy Guevara down. He's like, dude, relax. We're going to Vegas, so chill. It's okay. And MJF, so yeah, they left. The Inner Circle left. And MJF was left. So MJF, he tells Sammy, dude, I really did send that second email. And he gives Sammy Guevara that his Vegas ticket, his ticket to Vegas. And it said, and MJF, he says, it's on me. And MJF left. And Sammy Guevara, he was left alone. And he was mumbling to himself, saying, I only got one email. And so, yeah, that was the end of the segment. I can't wait till next week. So next week, they said that it was going to be Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy. And the Young Bucks versus Top Flight. Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin versus Team Tazz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. And then we have the Inner Circle slays Las Vegas. So we're going to see the Inner Circle in Las Vegas. They're going to show that next week on Dynamite. I cannot wait for that. It should be really, really, really entertaining. So I can't wait. Now, to end off our show, the main event, we had Eddie Kingston coming out to the ring with a microphone. When Eddie Kingston speaks, you stop what you're doing and you listen to this man. So the crowd chants, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. And then Eddie, he says, I know my name. I don't need you people cheering it. And he says, at Full Gear, your world champion Jon Moxley made me say, I quit. And that's something I got to deal with and live with. But unlike you people that will probably quit and never wrestle again, I will never stop and I will be world champion. Me being the leader, yeah, he turns his attention to Pentagon and Phoenix. He says, me being the leader that I am, the leader of violent men and women, we are going to have Pentagon versus Phoenix next. And you're going to see two of the greatest luchadors to have ever do it. And all I can say to you people is you're welcome. And so right after this, we had Eddie Kingston. He goes on commentary. And we have our main event. We have Rey Fenix versus Pentagon in the main event. So this is their rematch from the AEW Eliminator Tournament. And we had Eddie Kingston on commentary. And so yeah, this is basically the same match from the last time they fought. But this match was actually shorter. And they were going back and forth, strike for strike, roll up at the roll up. So they're brothers. They know each other really well. So you're going to know your brother's secrets, his strengths and his weakness. And so that's what every brothers. And yeah, they were talking down to Eddie Kingston on commentary. They were blaming Eddie Kingston. It was Tony Schiavone. He was blaming Eddie Kingston about why there's tension between the Lucha Bros. And then Eddie Kingston, he was like, dude, brothers fight. We saw Cody and Dustin fight. And Tony, he says, you know what? That's a great point. So yeah. And they continue to blame Eddie Kingston the entire time while he was on commentary about the tension between the Lucha Bros. So yeah, we had roll up after roll up in this match. We had a head scissors to Pentagon. We had a drop kick to Pentagon, and we had a submission move from Pentagon. And he had his legs. He was standing up. He had his legs twisted up while he was standing. I don't even know how to explain it, but Eddie Kingston, he pointed it out on commentary that it was called a Texas Cloverleaf, a standing reverse Texas Cloverleaf to Phoenix. So thank you, Eddie, because I did not know what that move was. So yeah, we had Pentagon. He rips off Phoenix's mask. He rips off parts of his mask so you can see one side of his face. And then we had a super kick to Phoenix from Pentagon, and they go outside the ring. They are fighting each other, chopping each other. And they went back into the ring. We had a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker to Phoenix. And then Pentagon, he targets the leg. And Pentagon, he chops. He continues to chop Phoenix. And he chops the sweat off him. You saw the sweat fly from him when he chopped him. And then we had a pump kick to Phoenix. So Pentagon was really taking control of this match. And Phoenix, he counters with a jumping, spinning kick. And we had a springboard cutter to Pentagon. Pentagon kicks out at 2. And then we had Phoenix. Rip off Pentagon's mask. Now, and you saw parts of. I think it was half. It was half of his face. You saw half of Pentagon's face. So he rips off the mask, payback. And oh yeah, another thing on commentary, Eddie Kingston, he was going for Pentagon to win. He's supposed to be unbiased because those are his boys, it's his family. But he was cheering for Pentagon, calling him his best friend and everything. So yeah, and then at one point we had Pentagon. He delivered a flipping, it looked like a reverse flipping DDT, and he spiked Fenix. This dude landed right on his head. And so Pentagon, no, not Pentagon. We had Fenix. He recovers, and he delivers so he knocks out Pentagon out of the ring, and he goes for a dive. He spin like a spinning move, a spinning outside dive, like a tornado. He was spinning like a tornado. It was a tornado to Pentagon, and then we had a senton bomb to Pentagon, and Pentagon kicks out at 2. And we had a super kick to Fenix on the apron. So they're fighting on the apron. Pentagon give Fenix a super kick. And then we had a package power driver to Fenix on that ring apron. So that was a nasty part. That's the one part of the ring you do not want to land on, is that ring apron. And he landed on it right on his head with that package power driver. And then we had, right after that, we had Fenix. He falls off the apron, and he gets back up. He gets back up after that. And Pentagon, he goes for a Canadian destroyer. He jumped off the apron and just gives him a Canadian destroyer. And yeah, so Phoenix is out. And he brings him back into the ring. Pentagon, he brings Phoenix back into the ring and delivers another package power driver for the win, for the 1, 2, 3. And that was it. Pentagon wins. And after the match, Eddie Kingston grabs the microphone again. He mocks the audience by saying, "This is awesome," and clap, 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 clap. He was like, "Whatever you marks like to cheer," or "Fight forever." Eddie Kingston is awesome, man. And so yeah, he says, Eddie Kingston, he congratulates Pentagon on this win over his brother. So yeah, so Pentagon actually got his win back, because last time they fought, Phoenix won. So now this time Pentagon, he gets his win back. And Pentagon, yeah, he calls Pentagon his best friend because he won. And, he continues to congratulate Pentagon. And so he literally kicks Phoenix out of the ring. So, man. And then we had Kingston tell Pentagon that he's proud of him and that he doesn't need anybody. And he calls Phoenix dead weight. He called Phoenix dead weight. He says, "You don't need that dead weight Phoenix, your brother. You don't need him." And then right out of nowhere, man, you heard Pac's theme music. So Pac is back. Pac comes out to the ring. Crowd is going crazy. And he tells Kingston, oh yeah, Pac has the microphone too. And he tells Kingston, "Did you think I'd be gone forever? Bad news for you. The bastard is back. And you have made a very big mistake." And then, so Pac, he tries to attack Eddie Kingston. And the referees and officials, they break it up. So they didn't even touch each other. They almost did, but they didn't touch each other. So the referees and officials, they were breaking it up and everything. And so that was the end of the show. Oh yeah, and the next week they announced that Pac will be going against Eddie Kingston's family member, The Blade. So that's next week. So that should be good. So this is actually going to be Pac's first match back after, 7 months? So yeah, that should be good. And Pac was missing, man. He was missing. We missed him, man. But yeah, that was the end of the show. That was the end of AEW Dynamite for November 11th, 2020 on the Veterans Day edition. And yeah, great show. Great show overall. And I like the fact that, I love the fact that AEW do not feature they don't feature the same people every week. There's a rotation. Every week you'll see different people. And you don't see the same people every week competing. And so yeah, and once again, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for the support. Thank you for leaving those thumbs up, for the likes, and thank you for our new subscribers. We just gained some new subscribers on this channel, so I appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. What are you waiting for? And subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, awesome ones. And yeah, and share this video. Share this video with your friends, your family. Oh yeah, and also turn on that bell for all notifications, and that way you'll know when my next video will come. So yeah, and I'll be back. I'll be back next week for another AEW Dynamite. And yeah, yep, that's been everything. Oh yeah, another thing. Comment on the video. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you thought about AEW Dynamite. Comment below. And yeah, that's everything, ladies and gentlemen. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. And that's that.